Enemy plane spotted.
Hey guys, my name is X Factor. I hope you're having a great day. And if you're a fan of the Battlefield franchise, there's a lot going on. It's been about 2 weeks since I played Battlefield 1, primarily because I went away to EA Play. I've been busy playing other games. Come back home, celebrate Berkeley's 4th birthday, all along having the LAN, aka man flu. Not the greatest for doing commentaries without hacking up a lung. So I apologize for the delay. So let's delay no more and get right into it. The good news is there's some new content coming to Battlefield 1, which may help bring some people back, but there's some other larger problems looming still in the background. Nivelle Nights, the first night map available for Battlefield 1 that you might have seen in the community test environment over on the PC side, or if you caught the EA Play live stream featuring some of your favorite Battlefield content producers, you were able to grab a sneak peek of that in the Conquest flavor. Pretty fun map, pretty infantry-centric, I believe, with one tank plus a couple of horsies on each side. Quite a bit of fun after all the tweaking that's been had. Also good news, one of my favorite game modes ever in the Battlefield franchise, which is also a problem, which we're going to get to in a minute, Frontlines, is being added to Argonne Forest, and of course Amien. And this will be available for anyone who owns Battlefield 1. You don't need premium to get involved with new game mode Frontlines on those two specific maps, but you'll need a premium friend or premium yourself if you're trying to get in on Frontlines on the DLC. Which brings us to one of our problems. As I mentioned before, it's been a couple weeks since I played. Not a lot of people seem to be playing Battlefield. At any point in time, you can check concurrent players depending on what platform you're on, Xbox One, PS4, or PC. And today's max concurrent on PC was about 30K. At the time of playing was 26,000. Of course, the consoles are way up there, the 70 to 90K max concurrent. But according to the executives at EA Play, Patrick Soderland, that 21 million people have purchased Battlefield 1 right now. If you think about max concurrent players at any given moment, that's a pretty small number compared to how many people have purchased the game. And we're really starting to feel it on the PC side with the lack of server browser for several things. First, we try to queue for a game of Frontlines, which of course is in the newer They Shall Not Pass DLC. So you have to have somebody with premium friends or own the DLC or premium yourself. Couldn't find a game using Quick Match. So we went to the server browser, searched for all slots available, 2 slots, no slots, every option. Not a single game was being played on PC. And in my opinion, it is one of the most fun, chaotic modes because you have these massive capture points and you have much elongated fights over the flags. In Conquest, somebody could come in, clear out 4 or 5 bad guys. Even though they slowed it down a little bit in Battlefield 1, they could usually ramble the point. But in Frontlines, you can ramble 4 or 5 people, but you need to stay alive for another 30 seconds to a couple minutes, depending on how many people are on the flag and if they're making a push again. So it really benefits you to have a decent team with great teamwork, because one player isn't usually enough to carry that mode because there is so much going on. So we decided to switch it up to operations, quick match operations. Tried 3 separate times, didn't find anything. Said, okay, let's try They Shall Not Pass DLC operations. There's some pretty good stuff in there. Couldn't find a server. That basically took up the first 40 or so minutes of the stream. So eventually, we finally got in some operations, and we stayed in there because it was almost impossible to find one. And then to my surprise, each time we found one, it was the 40-man variety. I like Battlefield 64-man chaos, and I think operations is a great mode to play 64-man. For the past couple times that I have played Battlefield 1 over the last month or so, anytime I queue operations via quick match, it's just the 40-man servers in North America. I can't get a game of 64-man going. It's, of course, my own personal preference, but also it changes the dynamic between infantry and vehicles. Keep that in mind. As you play the 40-man or 64-man variant, it's the same amount of vehicles per team. then of course all the stationary weapon. So in the 40-man variant, vehicles can be a lot stronger because there's not enough infantry around running lumpy or of course assault when the time is needed, and tanks can really wreak havoc. In 64-man, if a tank gets caught out, usually there's more infantry around it, and it can get absolutely punished very quickly, disabled, and dropped. So it does play a bit differently between the 40 and 64-man. So to complicate all of this, DICE has brought us platoons. Finally. It's not exactly working correctly. What else isn't working correctly? The Origin friends list. Obviously, I run a community over on Twitch TV. We play with subs. Subs can join off me. Just because I add you to my Origin friends list and go online, click off of invisible, click on in-game, doesn't mean I can see you, doesn't mean you can see me. That means more than likely you can't join my squad or my game. What about the platoon? You're supposed to be able to join off of me, right? Well, that's buggy as well. So sometimes on my Origin friends list, I add a sub, I can actually see them. But even on their desktop, they can't see me at all, or in-game, they can't see me. It's something that's been broken for a while that DICE has yet to fix. That's also crippling gaming communities, which have already been crippled enough due to the sheer lack of planning by DICE with gaming servers for communities, whether it's public or private. Think about all your memories if you're a Battlefield veteran. I bet you some of the best rounds and some of the most fun you ever had were in gaming community servers. Think about the Meat Locker servers in BF3 or BF4. What about a pistol-only server? Or how about an infantry-only Karkin server? Or maybe my personal favorite, Max Tickets, Erica Harbor 24/7. Bring your Gustav because you're going to need it. All that stuff didn't exist in the beginning of Battlefield 1. It's most certainly not working right now because platoons are pretty much a mess, and the rental server program is still pretty borked and in a shambles. Communities push games. Community keeps games together. And if you don't support the community, they most certainly cannot support you. So I really look forward to some of these issues being rectified in future patches, because it feels like right now the community simply is not being supported, which might be one of the problems with player counts in Battlefield 1, outside of a lot of people complaining that Battlefield 1 is simply too casual, questionable mechanics within Battlefield 1 still existing that haven't been tweaked yet or not tweaked enough, and of course some of the current hit registration issues which have been introduced in the game with a recent patch bringing back kill trades, and of course penalizing people with high ping. Right now there's currently an issue with tanks going toe to toe. Sometimes your tank will not do damage to another tank or receive damage from said tank no matter what. We're not talking deflections where you do 1 to 2 damage, you see your shot deflect, maybe you kill a poor infantry off of the distance. You can hit them straight angle, like I'm facing that wall, and do 0 damage. That means all your shots are going to no register on that vehicle for the rest of the round unless you blow up your tank. Hopefully this, along with some of the other sketchy hit registration stuff that's kind of slipped into the last patch or so, is rectified. Other good news is competitive is coming back to the Battlefield franchise. It's something DICE has kind of supported in Battlefield 4, but before that it was driven completely by the community, including the days of 2142, Battlefield Bad Company 2, and Battlefield 3, where the primary rounds for the big cash tourneys were 8v8 conquest size small, 3 flag variation, or 4 flag variation, or of course a lot of people's favorites was Squad Rush. Now there is no confirmation that it will be conquest size small because DICE slowly phased that out of previous Battlefield titles, as it was a separate map with usually interesting capture point areas that had to be designed specifically for that, and not a lot of people outside of the console world of Xbox 360 and PS3 played those, except for the competitive community and of course the PC competitive community. But those maps were a ton of fun. Now one thing that would have to be revisited and has been tweaked a little bit is how conquest tickets work. Right now, if you have 1 flag, you are burning tickets or lives away from the enemy team. In previous Battlefield titles, if you had the majority of the flags, if you had 3 of the 5 or 2 of the 3, you put the enemy team on the bleed. That has changed for the worse in Battlefield 1. Even though it's still continuing to tweak it, it really doesn't work. The massive comebacks are gone. You can't 3 flag a team out of 5 and make this big hold for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes and make a comeback. If they get up to X amount of points and they've got 1 or 2 flags, they're going to simply win the round. There's not much you can do about it. So it's one of those situations where you pretty much need every flag on the map if a game's close, 50 or 60 tickets, and there's only a couple minutes left. Not exactly exciting. So what do you guys think? The new content that's coming out, competitive, and of course, everything that's going on with player counts and some of the underlying issues. Is it enough to bring you back? Do you think DICE needs to focus on some of these basic issues that are keeping communities from being able to play together? As always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and let me know down below. We'll see you guys soon.